Good afternoon, welcome to Teleislas News, the most important news of the day. The Seaflower Biosphere Reserve was present at the launch of the mangrove restoration project in Mexico.
The environmental event took place between August 27 and September 3rd, where the islands were present throughout an important project developed by the Carrera Environmental Corporation on behalf of Colombia.
El programa sobre el hombre.
UNESCO's Man and the Biosphere program. I started the implementation of one of the most ambitious projects entitled Mangrove Restoration, based on nature in Latin American biosphere reserves. The project was formulated and has a duration of 3 years, and its main objective is to carry out an assessment of the state of mangrove ecosystems and their restoration potential by undertaking restoration campaigns using local knowledge and science, promoting education for sustainable development.
The director of Seas and Coasts also highlighted Colombia's role in the international meeting.
Colombia was taken into account by the Seaflower Biosphere Reserve of San Andres. The project activities will be supported by a scientific group from the participating countries and specialists from Belgium to ensure the exchange of knowledge and experiences, as well as North-South and South-South collaboration.
Finally, Miles indicated a schedule to be followed by each participating country.
The
project will start this year, and the invited countries must diagnose the deepest problems they have in the most deteriorated areas of their mangrove ecosystems.
The countries that participated in the environmental space where the islands were present for a week were Mexico, Peru, Colombia, Cuba, Ecuador, Panama, and El Salvador, were able to share experiences and problems that allowed them to be enriched with ideas to prevent and develop strategies that benefit the ecosystem of each place.
The blockade continues in Carrera. 13 residents of the area indicated that they will not lift the blockade until there is a dialogue with the governor, Everett Hawkins.
Since Tuesday, September 6, residents of District 4 have decided to obstruct Carrera 13 due to the poor condition of the road, arguing that it represents a danger to drivers and pedestrians. They also stated that the dialogue table established with the local government on July 15th stipulated a solution to the condition of the road, which to date has not been complied with.
We decided to block the road because it is full of holes. We cannot cross on this ugly road. It is full of holes. And when we want to cross the road, the motorcycles do not let us because they get on where we pass, because they do not want to get into the holes. We're tired of it. I'm asking the governor to come and show his face. Here they come all the time. They promise us that they're going to do this and they're going to do that. Essentially, they're making a mockery of us.
The community has been talking to the Mobility, Public Services and Infrastructure departments about the Carrera 13 project. This news agency consulted with the head of the infrastructure office, who stated that there are delays in the provisional repair of the road due to the machinery, but that the bidding process for the road repair is already underway.
The other agreement was to provisionally fix the hole and the patch that there in the road. And what happened is that everyone's know we are doing a process to get parts and put in function the machine then from the government. That Carrera contract process that is going ahead. Meanwhile, we have an alternative to get some barrows to do the work. But to get the material, we are making certain demolitions in certain places that we want to build. And the machine that helping us with that went into a difficult damage. So we are recovering that to continue the demolition, to get the materials that we need to fill up the road and to do a good disposition of it.
This news agency will be following the development of this news event and the lifting of the blockade on Carrera 13.
In spite of the inconformities and delays that have been presented in the paving works of the Pepper Hill Road, the contractors are already doing the leveling to pour the concrete and thus be able to advance in this important work for the benefit of the community.
Starting on Thursday, the Orange Hill and Pepper Hill roads will begin to be paved. This will be a great advance towards the completion of these roads that are so much needed by the community of these sectors. This was announced by the Secretary of Infrastructure, Alfredo Escalona.
Finally, in the last committee of building that we had with the contractors of the road, we had evidence that they make the what they call the evaluation of flooring, and they proceed to make our programmation to pave the road, start paving the first meters, the first hundreds meters of road for this end of this week. The day of Thursday and Friday they will be paving, and by they know that we are pending that they pave the road before they do any more breaking of the road. That's still in agreement. They cannot break no more until they start to pave it. So they are accelerating this for the wealth of the construction, and give the people the most fastest as possible the facility to have this road in the less time as possible and cut down on the time that we can give them in service.
After learning of the progress of these works, Teleislas News spoke with residents of the Pepper Hill sector who expressed that they can't wait for this work to be finished since it has caused them complications in their daily lives.
Just want to make them know, say, it's over 4 months, then come and broke the road. The agreement wasn't that. The agreement was to broke and fix, and every time you ask a question, then tell us the same thing over and over. Every week, then go and fix. Every week, then they bring material. Every week, then they fix the bed with the steel and they come and put down the cement. And nothing like that. It's just a story and story and story what they have been telling us all the time. And every time you say anything to the engineer, and come up with something different, inclusive. Sometime in this week, I hear a commentary when put up for Carrera and no notion of them. I say this week, in the week, and one done throw the cement. Make a wait and see what they decide to do, because if not, the community will have to take a next step, because it's too long now when they have the telling us a lot of story they invent just to calm us down.
It should be noted that today the contractors were taking measurements for the leveling of the roads that are under construction.
And in other news, a controversial suppose was made known by several national press media, where it was announced that within the negotiations between the current President Petro with Nicaragua, the President of Colombia would have proposed to accept the judgment of the International Court of Justice in exchange for the release of political prisoners who are in Nicaragua.
President Gustavo Petro allegedly proposed to the Ortega administration that Colombia would recognize the Hague ruling in exchange for the release of some of the political prisoners being held in the prisons of El Chipote, Nicaragua. After Colombia was the target of criticism for not showing up at the assembly session of the Organization of American States, OAS, where a vote was taken on the human rights situation under the regime of Daniel Ortega, this was revealed in a report presented by an important national media, where it was explained that the government of Gustavo Petro knew about the OAS extraordinary session in Nicaragua and chose to be absent. 2 days later, the Foreign Ministry issued a communique explaining that Colombia had a humanitarian operation underway that could be compromised. According to one of the media outlets that published the news, the administration of Daniel Ortega closed any type of negotiation with Gustavo Petro that had to do with the release of at least 14 political prisoners and urged the Colombian government to comply with the ICJ ruling. According to another news source, William Grigsby Vado, one of the main promoters of the Ortega regime, stated on his radio program Primerísima that Petro had proposed to the Ortega government that Colombia would recognize the Hague ruling in exchange for the release of some of the political prisoners being held in the Chipote prison in Nicaragua. This news company will be attentive to the information that is issued regarding this controversial matter, and we emphasize that there is no evidence of such proposal so far.
In recent days, the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Tourism appointed Arturo Bravo. One of its management pillars will be to consolidate tourism with a concept of biodiversity, strengthening peace, sustainability, and social investment.
Through a press release, the Minister of Commerce, Industry and Tourism, Germán Umaña Mendoza, announced the appointment of Arturo Bravo as new Vice Minister of Tourism, highlighting the importance of tourism in the country, along with the need to make profound changes to consolidate a peaceful, sustainable and competitive tourism. Arturo Bravo is a tourism and hotel business administrator from the Universidad Externado de Colombia. He holds a master's degree in tourism from the International School of Tourism Science in Rome, Italy, a master's degree in business administration and management from the Universidad del Rosario, and a specialist in international economics. He has extensive knowledge and experience in the sector, which highlights his management in areas such as the formulation of public policies for tourism, planning and implementation of tourism project strategies, technical aspects for the management and sustainable development of ecotourism in protected areas, among others. The new Vice Minister has held various positions of local, departmental, and national importance, among which stands out his performance as Deputy Director of Destination Management at the District Tourism Institute IDT, where he was manager of the project Natural Tourist Treasures of Bogotá for the appropriation and strengthening of this modality in the capital. He also conducted studies and research related to tourism in the city. Prior to his appointment as Vice Minister, Mr. Bravo was linked to the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Tourism on different occasions as a contractor and advisor, where he carried out actions aimed at defining and adopting interinstitutional programs to increase competitiveness and promote the development of this sector.
And now let's get to know other facts that are making news today in our brief news section.
The Secretaries of Tourism, Education, Government, Public Utilities and Environment, National Police, Coralina, Port Captaincy, Ocre Family Welfare Institute, and the Boatmen Cooperative met to establish joint activities to solve the issue of improper use of public space near the pedestrian area of Sprat Bight. The Group of Tourism Protection and Child Protection of the National Police, together with Migration Colombian and Ocre, deployed surveillance and control activities in order to prevent the sexual and commercial exploitation of children through the delivery of flyers with recommendations. The police officers provided information to the community about the different modalities used by criminals to attack the integrity of children, what should be done to prevent the scourge, and the sharing of the channels for reporting it. The Environmental Corporation Coralina planted shade trees in educational institutions on the island of Old Providence, together with the Mas Bosques under Agreement 004 of 2021. Some of the institutions were Maria Immaculada and Junin Educational Institution, Concentration, Simón Bolívar, and Bombona School.
With this information, we reach to the end of our broadcast, but we see you tonight at 8 p.m. with more Teleislas news. Good afternoon.